Hello, everybody. This is Jim Ransom reading another episode of Morning Jim Poetry, and this is occurring on uh, Memorial Day weekend. And this is a pretty good time to memorialize Gwendolyn Brooks. That's whose poetry we're dealing with today. And Gwendolyn Brooks has a lot to admire about her and her poetry. She was born, I think, about 1917 and died in the year 2000. She won the Pulitzer Prize at least once for her poetry. And most of these poems um, are from her Selected Poems, a book that was published in 1963. Here's one that's probably one of her best known poems, and I'm going to start with it because it emphasizes the compactness of her style. We real cool. And then the subtitle is The Pool Players. 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. I don't think many of us would have expected quite that ending, would we? But I think she's trying to compartmentalize or make compact would be a better way of putting it. Some of the problems with black culture and the black men that she has known. Let's read another one. This one's called The Vacant Lot. Mrs. Coley's 3-flat brick isn't here anymore. All done with seeing her fat little form burst out of the basement door, and with seeing her African son-in-law, rightful heir to the throne, with his great, white, strong, cold squares of teeth, and his little eyes of stone, and with seeing the squat, fat daughter letting in the men when Majesty has gone for the day, and letting them out again. Again, we can see the compact nature of her writing, and she's told a big story in a lot of words. And it's not my job or not my intention here today to go into what these poems are about. You folks that are listening to this already know about the background of Gwendolyn Brooks, and it's obvious that if you've read some of her poems, you know how to tease out the meaning, and it's not difficult. It's right there in the very well chosen words. Now, here's the next one that we're going to read. It's a little longer poem. And it's called The Mother. The Mother. Abortions will not let you forget. You remember the children you got that you did not get. The damp, small pulps with a little or with no hair, the singers and workers that never handled the air. You will never neglect or beat them, or silence or buy with a sweet. You will never wind up the sucking thumb or scuttle off ghosts that come. You will never leave them, controlling your luscious sigh, return for a snack of them with gobbling mother eye. I have heard in the voices of the wind the voices of my dim, killed children. I have contracted, I have eased my dim tears at the breasts they could never suck. I have said, sweets, if I sinned, if I seized your luck and your lives from your unfinished reach, if I stole your births and your names, your straight baby tears and your games, your stilted or lovely loves, your tumults, your marriages, aches, and your deaths. If I poisoned the beginnings of your breaths, believe that even in my deliberateness, I was not deliberate. Though, why should I whine that the crime was other than mine, since anyhow, you are dead, or rather, or instead, you were never made. But that too, I am afraid, is faulty. Oh, what shall I say? How is the truth to be said? You were born. You had body. You died. It is just that you never giggled or planned or cried. Believe me, I loved you all. Believe me, I knew you, though faintly, and I loved you all. That is a very powerful poem. Very powerful poem. And, of course, we don't really need to know, and we don't know whether that was autobiographical or not. Poets create their context and they create their stories. So we don't know whether Gwendolyn Brooks is telling us about her own being as a mother, or she's simply using her observations of many of the people she was around to create this wonderful, tearful poem of sadness. If there are not tears in your eyes after hearing this poem, you may have a problem with empathy. But let's move to a final poem about lives in old age. This one is called The Bean Eaters. They eat beans mostly, this old yellow pair. Dinner is a casual affair, plain chipware on a plain and creaking wood, tin flatware. Two who are mostly good, two who have lived their day, but keep on putting on their clothes and putting things away and remembering with twinklings and twinges as they lean over the beans in their rented back room that is full of beads and receipts and dolls and clothes and tobacco crumbs and vases and fringes. There's another one of those marvelous, tightly woven poems that Gwendolyn Brooks is so good at writing. Oh, if only most of us could write poems that are that intuitive, that good, that short, that tight, and that communicative. We would be really at the peak of our talents. Well, thanks for joining me for today's program. America has given voice to all kinds of poetry, hasn't it? Written by people of many races and interests. Memorial Weekend is upon us. It's good to remember this remarkable nation. It is a remarkable nation, even though there are those among us who are constantly trying to tear it down. But Gwendolyn Brooks was a member of our nation, and she was a remarkable woman and expressed her originality so well. Thank you for being with me today.